Hello guys, welcome back, and today I'm going to be trying something new, talking about obscure ideas for death bottle ideas. And by that I either mean one, the matchup isn't popular enough, or two, the franchise itself is a little on the obscure side and not a lot of people know. So basic bitch shit like Andrew, because that's a popular matchup. So anyways, let's start it. By the way, I'm going to have the full connections for each matchup down in the description below. I'm just going to read a small segment of the first paragraph so y'all can kind of get a basic understanding. But if you want the full connections, they're going to be in the description below. Okay, first of all, we're going to be talking about Wrath versus Cabal. Wrath is from a franchise called Battleborn. You can pause to read these slight connections. As I said before, the full slate of connections is just going to be in the description below. But anyways, since, I don't really think the majority of the public knows what Battleborn is. So if I'm correct, Battleborn got, discontinued or something a while back. And it was shut down in 2019, if I'm correct on that. And by the way, if you're going to ask about my audio, it's because I'm using my phone. So my phone's probably not picking up the best audio and all that. But anyway, I just generally don't see anybody talk about this franchise at all. I don't think I've seen anybody else besides my friend make a matchup for Battleborn. And by the way, a majority of these are matchups that me and my friend have made. He's made a more... I'll tell you which ones he's made and which ones I've made, just so we're not confused. But, yeah, honestly, if you read the full connections of this, it would go pretty damn hard. And I'm pretty sure it's a really debatable fight as well. Next up, we have a matchup I made. Gabriel from the Mandela Catalog versus Lucifer from World of Darkness. Two angelic figures who rebelled against the divine order. And if you don't know either of these franchises, I want to blame you. The Mandela Catalog is an analog horror series, and The World of Darkness is an RPG tabletop game with a bunch of other complex lore and stuff. I honestly feel like this would be cool. Coming from, we've never had analog horror on Death Battle, and I don't think we've had something like World of Darkness also on the show. And yes, World of Darkness Lucifer should probably absolutely shitstomp this with a lot of bullshit higher skilling. Since, from the little I know, World of Darkness has, insane scaling. But overall, I feel like it would capture a theme that I think I would personally enjoy the most. A lot of people probably wouldn't vibe with it, and that's cool. But yeah, I just personally feel like that matchup would vibe really hard. Next up, we have Chris Walker from Outlast versus the chimpanzee from Normal Porn for Normal People, aka Creepypasta if you want to go off of that. Now, honestly, this would go really hard, depending on how Death Battle would handle it. And by that, I mean the animations how they would go with, they could do some cool footage type stuff, with security feeds, handheld cameras. The animation would go really hard. It overall would vibe really hard, and especially the music they could use for it. Overall, it's just a really unique idea that, honestly, I don't think sadly ever going to happen. But honestly, I would be really down if this idea spread. It's a really underrated idea. Next up, we have Victor Crowley from the Hatchet franchise versus the Mountain Man from Cold Prey. Cold Prey is a Norwegian slasher film, and this is about two tragic characters with tragic childhoods who have disabilities, who like to isolate themselves away from society and kill any intruders that dare set foot on their property. Now again, like I said before, if you want to read the full slate of connections, they're all going to be down in the comments below. So you can get the full slate of connections down in the comments. But this would go so incredibly hard in live action. I doubt that ever will happen, since I don't think Death Battle has the budget to do that type of makeup for someone like Victor Crowley. And not to mention, the kill would be absolutely gory as shit, since both of these two are pretty violent killers. And by the way, if you have not seen Cold Prey, I would probably recommend it. It's actually a pretty good film. Next up, we have Xenoheld from the Bakugan franchise versus Cyrus from the Pokemon franchise. This fight is actually insanely good if you really think about the similarities that these two share. And not to mention how awesome it would be if you're going to give them access to everything they have, like all their ships, all their weaponry. And for Cyrus, that would obviously be including Pokemon like Giratina Palkia or I guess Dialga. Maybe I already said Dialga, but Giratina Palkia Dialga. Give them access to those three, and you would have an insanely epic fight at your disposal. Next up, we have Lana Benetton from a series called By Sweet Carol, and the princess is from a game called Slay the Princess. Both of these are basically indie hand-drawn horror games that if you have not played, I would highly recommend them. Slay the Princess is a light novel game, and I've not touched By Sweet Carol yet. It's on my backlog. But I just wanted to talk about this. I feel like since this will obviously be in a hand-drawn form, it would go incredibly hard, especially with the music, since both games have really good music at their disposal they could use. For the debate, from what I know right now, the princess would absolutely slam, since the princess, from what I know and from what I've seen, is incredibly broken. Now, next up, as much as I would love to hype up Eddie versus Relius Clover again, I already did that in a previous video, so I'm going to go with another BlazBlue matchup. So, I'll talk about Order Soul versus Hakumen. Now, this is probably the only actual good Soul ult you could find out there, since literally every other Soul bad guy matchup besides Hulk, in my opinion, is kind of bad, and Hakumen doesn't really have that many good matchups. The only actual other somewhat okay ult, at least to my knowledge so far, is Archer, and that's kind of just okay. This one is an actual solid BlazBlue and Guilty Gear matchup, which is pretty rare to find, actually. And overall, it's like a solid connection-wise fight. And that's also pretty debatable depending on what you're going to do. And next up, we have Jinga from Beyblade versus Rike from Beat a Dame Crossfire. I generally think I'm the only one who's actually ever made a matchup for Beat a Dame Crossfire. And I honestly don't even think a lot of people don't remember. And this is probably Jinga's best ult that he has, if not his best. Since, well, Dan's just kind of okay, Dan has better matchups that you can pull for. I just overall think this would be pretty interesting since, again, Beat a Dame Crossfire isn't talked about enough, at least in my opinion. And this is genuinely like his best matchup that he has out there. Next up, we have Reinhardt from ReZero versus Urza Scarlet from Fairy Tail. Now, yes, obviously I know this fight is an absolute curb stomp. But again, to keep it short and simple, I just basically think that the banner and interaction would be cool. As well as the music would also be a banger, since Fairy Tail and ReZero both have good music. But yeah, I just personally like it because of the banner potential. Next up, we have Dark Snyder versus Adam Blade. Dark Snyder, of course, being from Bastard, and Adam Blade being from a series called Needless. I'm not gonna lie, most of Dark Snyder's matchups are fucking cringe and horrible, like Etrigan versus fucking Dark Snyder's cringe. This is the only one I feel like actually works, since it's actually a debatable fight on who wins, since Needless can actually get the universal scaling, and it's also very interesting. Both are also very destructive and very powerful, muscular male anime manga protagonist. So obviously you could do a lot with the destructive capabilities of these two characters that I feel like would make for a really fun and entertaining fight. Next up, we have Tom versus Max. Tom is from a series called Dino Frogs, and Max is from a series called Dinosaur. Both of them are male protagonists who are the leaders of a group of people that can basically turn into dinosaurs. I don't really have much to say, just that I like dinosaurs a whole lot, and coming from I love Dino Squad, and I don't think it has like any actual matchups at all from what I've done. So I just wanted to quickly make this one as a honorable mention type matchup before I get to the final one. But yeah, honestly, Dino Squad needs more love, and that's kind of why I made this matchup. And the last matchup on today's list would be Eli Shane versus Tony Jones. If you have not seen Magi Nation or Select Her, I wouldn't blame you. They're pretty old. And Magi Nation does have a pretty old game as well. And this is personally probably one of my favorite matchups that I personally have made. Because both series don't get talked about enough. At least for what I've seen at all. Both of them are also pretty old kid shows growing up. And also they both came out around when I was a little kid. So this matchup kind of honestly means a decent amount to me. And honestly, I only made this because I remember I was thinking about these shows when I was working. I'm like, no, this could actually probably work as a solid fight. Since both of them do have a different variety of monsters they can pull from. Shane's probably the more skilled and more agile fighter. It's overall, in my opinion, a really cool and interesting matchup at least. That one day I do hope this matchup does spit around one day, since it's pretty cool. And that is probably gonna do it for this video. I wanna give you all a quick thank you and so much for watching. And I hope y'all have a terrific rest of your day. And if y'all have any obscure death bottle ideas, let me know in the comments below. Thank you again. Have a nice day, and I'll see you next time.